Everybody, it's a Mad Master here. I'm just going to talk about today about this article that I read on Yahoo News or something like that. And I should have probably read more of the article, but basically the premise is that the Riff is dying. The rock is dying. Oh my God. The sky is falling. So this is what I think about in general, those types of articles, is that first of all, back in the day, like when I was younger, much younger than now, I probably would be offended by some of those articles. I'd be like, oh no, it's not dying. Ah. And, it's like one of those things, like the zeitgeist might be shifting again against guitars I think it was particularly about the rock riff or whatever is dying. Yeah, it's already dead in a mainstream sense. And that's kind of the point of this video. I'll tell you a little story, from back in the day, late 90s. I was on this, I'm just going to say where it was. I don't care, if you dox me. It was on State Street, in this town that I live in. And I was the only person that wore metal shirts, at least like not in concrete park gutter punk sense, which was like a year or two after I was wearing these shirts in particular that I'm talking about. I was the only guy that liked this stuff downtown in my town. Now, some of my friends were into metal. They were getting more into metal because this was kind of the renaissance of metal. Was, in my opinion, the late 90s was like a huge renaissance for me personally, because there was just so much stuff to get into. It was just, and you'd buy an album, from Ram Music or Impulse Records or whatever in the catalog in the magazine, or you'd order a catalog, you get it, and you order all these albums that you never heard. And it was a great time. I can even pull one from the rack right here that was probably from that period of time. Oh, I believe it's a little crack in the case, but this is one of them that I bought as an import. It's on Virgin Records. So what am I trying to get to this here? So I'm going to say everybody else was normie, frumpy 90s kind of look. Everybody had, the punk look had died out in like the, earlier in the 90s, other than like the gutter punks and stuff. Nobody had mohawks, anymore, or dressed in khakis or sports shirts or whatever, and it was, or like, whatever, I don't know what was popular, Ralph Lauren or Abercrombie and Fitch or whatever, or Hollister. Whatever was popular. I don't even remember exactly. There was I'm thinking of another brand that it's at the surface of my brain, but I'm not thinking. I'll probably think of it later in the video. But there was these brands that people wore and they didn't wear. But I was like the only one. I wore metal shirts down there for that period of time. I was all alone, Now, there was some cool moments of that time stretch of 4.5 years working downtown, but at least the first 2 years, I'm just speaking of like the first year or two, I was all alone. I'd buy used CDs at the CD store and stuff, after work, and get my iced mid mocha coffee and my burrito or whatever down the street, and until they opened a punk metal record store. Well, it was punk at first because punk was more politically correct at the time than metal, but they snuck into metal and became mainly metal over time. Called Earwax Records, by the way, if you know who I'm talking about. But this is where I just laugh. I giggle because I'm nervously talking about the past. It's just kind of funny. So, what is my point? So at that point in time when I was ordering all these albums from Europe or whatever, did I care that nobody else listened to it? Did I care that it wasn't popular here? I mean, it took Blind Guardian until 2002 to even play in the States, I saw a lot of these premieres that happened over the years, like Blind Guardian, In Flames, Arch Enemy, unfortunately Miss Emperor, which I regret to this day. All these bands. I saw the first show in the U.S. It's like, that's pretty underground. I mean, I'm not saying like I was super underground, but it's like nobody else likes it in your town, kind of thing, because there wasn't a lot of people, at least displaying their liking to this stuff where I live. So I was all alone. in a lot of ways. My friends liked it that I saw after work or on the weekend. My friends started to like it even more. Some of the stuff that was coming out. I remember going to see Iron Maiden with Blaze. We were listening to the second Moonspell album. I was like, whoa, what is this? And I had a dub of it after that, and it was like I was kind of into it. I wasn't like, that wasn't the moment when the renaissance of metal happened for me, like a year or two later, but it was cool. So I was into that. At that time I was still trying to go like be alternative, like not alternative like all bad alternative, like the band like Total the Wet Sprocket alternative. I mean, like, Skinny Puppy and gothic rock, like these bands and stuff back then. But yeah, this happened. So did I care though? Would I have cared if nobody else listened to the music that I listened to back then? Hell no. In fact, I was probably proud of it. I was like, oh, nobody likes this stuff here. Fuck them. Fuck everybody. Fuck humanity and people. I don't give a shit. If I'm the last person alive that listens to Blind Guardian, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care if I was the last person to play a guitar or play a guitar riff. Because that stuff does not influence me in my life. I don't care about if nobody else likes something. So these articles that talk about like rock is dying, oh, it's no longer, I mean, yeah, it threatens me as a musician, obviously. Like this past year, we had the biggest power metal festival I've ever seen in my life in this town. So it's not like this stupid normie mainstream kind of bullshit. Taylor Swift's the biggest person now. Oh, I don't give a shit. But I wouldn't care if there was nobody there. Just people playing on stage and I was the only person in the audience. Or if I was the only person playing that kind of music. I wouldn't give a shit. Or if I'm the only person not writing AI music, which, yeah, anyways, I'm not going to go into that. But, I don't give a crap. I really don't. I really don't care what other people think about what I like, what I do. So these articles are really, really stupid. And another thing about that is that it's just like, I just don't care. I mean, I'm like I say, I don't care. If I was like, oh yeah, I was going to think about this, like reading about the Church of Satan and Anton LaVey, like he was always like, well, the ultimate Satanist will be someone that listens to old 30s Al Jolson records. I mean, who the fuck likes Al Jolson in 1995 or whatever, or whenever this essay was written? Like hardly anybody. But did people care? Did Boyd Rice care that he was collecting Al Jolson records back in the day, and like all this weird music from way back when? Oh, he might have been the only person in San Francisco or whatever to like it, or maybe 5 people. Probably grew, of course, that liking, and got to be a small club of people that liked this stuff and played it. And that's probably what a lot of stuff will be in the future with rock, like jazz. Is kind of where rock is headed. How jazz is seen now, is this legacy music. So you know what? I don't care. I really don't. I mean, there is a part of me that wishes he would have been born earlier and would have been able to experience all the highs and lows of rock stardom and groupies and drugs and all that stuff. But, it's fine. It's fine. It's a legacy thing. So these articles don't really faze me. They make me mad because they're just so stupid. Like, they're just so, like, ugh, like I care. I mean, it's just like, I don't care all that much about it. But I just wanted to mention it because I think it's stupid. It's like, oh, rock riff is dying. Okay. That's fine. If I'm the last person on earth, if I'm the last person on earth that listens to CDs, for Christ's sake, I wouldn't care. Obviously, it'd be harder to, like, find, if your CD player breaks down, find someone to fix it if you're the last person on earth to listen to CDs. But... or something like that. I don't only listen to CDs, by the way. I have probably 100,000 MP3s, all sorts of, and I have probably about 100 or 200 records. So, but that's actual vinyl. So, yeah, I don't really care about these things. If I like what I like, if I'm the only person that likes it, and this is not an elitist thing. This is more like, if I'm the only person that likes something, I could care less. I used to care about what people thought and like, oh my God, nobody likes this or nobody wants it. And I used to be like proselytize all my music all the time. Like, listen to this, so good. Why don't you like it? Why don't you like it? or, you know, try to proselytize my music towards other people too, or something I liked, or make excuses or whatever. I don't care. I really don't. If I liked Al Jolson, had a date with this girl 3 years ago that liked Conway Twitty and like all this weird other stuff. And she was like 22 years old, and it was like, what the hell, you know, all this crazy stuff. And I'm just like Paul Anka and shit, like 22-year-old liking that. That's pretty weird. I mean, that's pretty amazing, honestly. Like, that's really rare. First of all, I mean, that's stuff for like great grandparents listen to, not grandparents. Great grandparents probably listen to. So I wouldn't care if, you know, metal, if there was no festivals. I mean, there's huge festivals now in America, and it's gotten bigger and bigger, but I don't care if the festivals all went away. Not because of the virus stuff, and that's a different story. That was sad as fuck. Anyways, thought I mentioned that because I haven't mentioned that in a while in my videos. But yeah, I mean, I really don't care about what people think about my music. About not my personal music that I make, but as far as like the music in general that I listen to and have played for a long time, you know, I really don't care, because if I'm the last person alive that likes it, which I'm not, but if I were, fuck it, I don't care. The rock riff is dead. Oh my God, who cares? Like what you're proposing, this alternative to that, is any better? Probably not. You're probably extolling all this crap, you know, this computerized crap, which I like some computerized music, don't get me wrong, but just was like totally soulless garbage. You know, I'm not going to listen to that shit. I'm not going to listen to Taylor Swift. I don't know if that's what they're extolling, or I don't even know what Taylor Swift sounds like, honestly. But, you know, I don't care about auto-tune, rap, and whatever is popular today. I don't even know what's popular now. I know Billie Eilish, it's a little bit better than some of that stuff, I'll say. She's a little bit better, more interesting, actually. But, yeah, I don't care. I really don't. That's a very boomer thing to say. It's like a little bit better, man. It's like there's a little edge to Billie Eilish. Or The Weeknd. Well, The Weeknd has a little synth wave, so, you know, it's like, if I had to choose like two pop garbage things to listen to, it'd probably be those two. But everything else is pretty crap that I've heard. So, but yeah, I don't care. I don't care. I'm convincing myself to care, because I wouldn't do a video if I really didn't care. But I really, at the end of the day, really don't care that much. So that's about all.